Hi everybody, good to see you again. I hope you got on okay yesterday with the Irish Blessing song. I got excited when I saw that 300 church groups came together to sing that in Ireland, and I thought that was really strong. And that song is being sung all over the world. So I hope you were blessed in it. Introduced it before, of course. So today is day 36, Saturday, 13th of June, and I'm going to introduce you to John Wimber today. Subsequent to the meeting I had with Mike Hook, a year later, I would go to a conference with John Wimber. But in that meantime, this is 5 or 6 years before I become pastor at Bethesda. I'm developing my own spirituality, I suppose, and I'm beginning to pray for people. So anxious to be getting it right. Got a little bit of authority from meeting with Mike and that other conference I shared with you about. So doing a bit of nice things, but just wanting more, of course, wanting more. And just to say that John Wimber came from America, and he came with a group of 200 people from his church to hold those conferences that he did in the mid-80s, and to teach us. God had been teaching him from the Bible how to do miracles of healing, to pray for the sick and see lots of people healed. So he came to teach us what God had been teaching him and his church there. And it was strong because, of course, there's him and 200 other people to get alongside us. So in that year, someone gave me a tape, and I'm still looking for a miracle somewhere along that, a nice miracle. And I listened to the tape of his testimony of how God got their church into the way of doing these things, how he taught them. And it was a recording. The tape was a recording of the first session of these meetings that he was coming to bring the year before, of course. And so it started with his testimony about that. And then at the end of the meeting, we got introduced to this idea of clinics. So we don't finish with amen when the talking's finished. We start doing the stuff, as he would call it. And so that first meeting, listening to on the tape, he said what he had was a word of knowledge, that God had told him that there was someone in the audience that night that had something wrong with their eyelid. I think it was the right eyelid. And so would that person come forward? It took them a minute or two to pluck up courage, but that person did come forward. And then he said that we're going to pray for this lady's healing. And he was going to get his friend, a guy called Blaine Cook, I think it was, that would come and do the praying. And at that point I thought, yes, you see, if it doesn't happen, it's his mate's fault, it's not him, is it, you see? But he said he was going to commentate on what was going on. And so that's what happened. The lady came forward, the man put his hand on his shoulder and started to pray. Then John Wimber started to talk, and talk to what do you see, what do you think you see? So we would say, well, there's a really lovely piece on the lady, And so after 3 or 4 minutes of saying, what else do you think? What do you think that means? What do you... And then suddenly there's this, Yahoo! On the tape. I was gobsmacked. I was not expecting that at all. And this lady's eyelid had corrected itself. Or God had come and healed her and corrected it. So that was wow. So when I understood that he was coming again next year, I booked him for that. It was over in Sheffield, and so we went 4-day conference. We went every day to Sheffield. Just to tell you, the first day, he did the same thing. He did the same talk. He was very humorous. He was very, very, very pleasant. He got on so well with all the ministers of all of the different denominations. He'd been invited by the Bishop of York, and so all people of all denominations were at these meetings, and we would all fall in love with him, kind of thing. So that once again he did his testimony, did his talk. And then word of knowledge came out that there's someone in the audience with something wrong with their throat. And there's 3,000 people in this theatre, and no one came forward. So he said, well, you've had it for about 10 years. And so still no one came forward. He said, it's a lady. with the throat problem, he had it for 10 years and still nobody came forward. And they said, you're a teacher. You're a teacher. And by this time, there's a lady in the audience saying to her friend, it's you. It's you. You need to go out. It's you. This is you. So the lady quite shyly came to the platform, and as she got onto the stage and was walking towards him, I think her name was Linda. So he said, hello, Linda. It's nice to see you. And she stopped, shocked. How do you know my name? And of course, it was written on her conference badge. So that was, once again, relaxed her, you see. It relaxed her to allow them to pray with her. Once again, he asked his friend to come and pray as am I saying that right? No, I tell a lie. He prayed for this time with his friend in accompaniment. And after a moment or two, he said, okay, you're healed. This throat thing, you see. So she'd not felt anything. So she said, no, I'm not healed. So he said, yes, you are. She said, no, I'm not. He said, count to 10. So she said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm healed. And it was very beautiful to be there in person and watch it in person. And then he gave her to his friend and said that the Lord had revealed something else that was of a more private nature regarding her life. Would her friend go to, just take her to the back of the stage and pray for her a bit more there, which is what they did. And then there was some more words of knowledge came for people to come forward to be prayed for on the platform. And so that's what happened. People recognised that there something on them was being talked about from the front. So they came forward and got prayed for. And then the lovely thing was that the first lady who had been prayed for, after she'd been prayed for again by the friend at the back, she didn't just come back and go in the audience. She joined in with the people who were praying. So right from that very beginning was this thing that we're being shown that this is something that you can do as well. You don't need to. It's not so high that ordinary people can't get involved. So we were really encouraged with that. That's enough for today. I'll tell you a bit more of the conference tomorrow. It was a very rich time and very enjoyable time for me at that time. I'd gone to test the spirit. I'd gone to check if this was a real thing or else if it was just somebody else saying they knew how to do something and they didn't. But he did. And his ministry was very beautiful that day. More tomorrow. More on Monday. Okay. See you then. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening again.